Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we're doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, which sees the release of Barbarian and also the wider release of Medieval, which I believe has been out for about a week or two. That one actually looks kind of interesting, as it does feature the great Ben Foster and Sir Michael Caine. Well, we'll say if I'm actually able to go see the film or not. I have plans to see it this evening, but you never know what's going to happen, especially when you have a young toddler. So before we further though, please make sure you smash that like button, loud that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with the bell notification on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. I am once again joined by the Hounds of Asgard behind me, and so if you see them running around doing stuff, that's what's going on back there. So this weekend we also have the new release of Barbarian from 20th Century Studios, owned by Disney now. Expected to make $8 million, and this is an interesting film. It is a movie featuring a Airbnb storyline. Yeah, took them a while, I think, to finally be able to incorporate that into a horror story. Not seemingly getting a wide release, as it's only expected to get around 2,200 screens. Maybe they are trying to get it in a limited release or more limited release fashion. Hope that the word of mouth on this film is good, and then expand it from there. Or it could be that they don't have a lot of confidence in the movie itself. It does have an overall interesting premise. Basically, there's an Airbnb. You have two people that book the same Airbnb and they have to stay the night together, or they decide to stay the night together, and then all of a sudden weird stuff starts to happen, and Justin Long's in it. And hey, whenever Justin Long is in a weird psychological thriller / horror movie, it's usually at least an interesting time, to say the least. I feel like that he's always in movies like that, and he randomly pops up from time to time. But Barbarian, $8 million is what that film is expected to make, and I believe that this film's budget wasn't all that high, and so maybe, just maybe, it'll be able to make its money back. Let's go ahead and see. Again, you can hear River behind me, who's not quite sure about that yet. No actual budget yet has been projected for this movie, so it's going to be very hard to be able to determine whether or not at this point this is going to be enough for it to break even. I imagine, though, based off of what we've seen in the trailer, probably didn't cost more than $10 to $20 million if I had to take a guess. Then again, this is 20th Century Studios. This is a branch of Disney, and if we know anything about Disney as a studio, it is that they love to overspend, and they love to overspend on films that usually aren't able to make back what they have overspent on. But hey, who knows? Barbarian does look interestingly enough, and so coming in the number one spot during a very, once again, weak box office weekend is not all that surprising. What is kind of surprising still, and even though I know it's a great movie and I thoroughly enjoyed it and I recommend anyone go to see it if it's still playing in a theater near you, is Top Gun Maverick expected to come in at the number 2 spot, now going into what, week 16, week 17 of its release? Even after being on PVOD, so people can buy this and watch it at home, people are still going to see this film in theaters. Expected to only drop 33% from its last weekend, which is a little bit larger than what the typical drops are for this movie. But as you can see, almost all the films are dropping at least 30, 40, 50, 60% in many cases, and it's because of last weekend being that holiday weekend, likely influencing the number of people going to see movies, and also last Saturday being movie cinema day, where tickets were only $3, and so it's going to make sense that you're going to see some bigger percentage drops there overall. But Top Gun Maverick coming up the number 2 spot, another $4 million, bringing it well over the $700 million domestic point, is just darn impressive at this point in time. In the number 3 spot, you've got Bra Master Part 1 Shiva from Star Studios. I believe that this is another Bollywood production. I could be wrong on that. I don't really know much about it, but hey, it's expected to come in at the number 3 spot. Bullet Train expected to stay in the top 5 this week, dropping to number 4 spot here. $3.3 million, bringing its sold domestic to 92.9. I know, River. It's quite exciting. It's quite exciting. This film is getting close to $100 million domestically, which, as you all know, has me very excited because I really want this film to be able to make its money back because it's a darn fun time at the theater. I wouldn't say it's as fun as Top Gun Maverick, but it is still one of the best times that you'll have at the theater, in my own humble opinion. DC League of Super Pets is going to also be in that top 5 discussion, with Warner Brothers Picture making another $2.9 million, another 42% drop for that movie. Still has a little bit longer ways to go to break even versus Bullet Train, but it is doing much better in the long run versus where it had started off, and so we'll have to, of course, wait and see just how much of a loss it ends up being by the end of its run. Beast, same story there, still has a ways to go, but is a little bit of a younger film, so the fact that the film is not doing nearly as well money-wise is also kind of an indication that the film could potentially end up being a box office bust for Universal. Spider-Man No Way Home, the more fun stuff version, is dropping a 61% from last weekend. This is not all that surprising, just because the film has already been out for a long time on home video at this point. And this new Fun Stuff version apparently has a lot of scenes that don't really add a whole lot to the actual story itself. I imagine that it probably features a lot of scenes that if you already have the 4K or any of the physical media versions, you probably have access to, but we'll have to wait and see exactly how much money this adds to the already incredibly large $1.9 billion worldwide number that this film has been able to do such far. The invitation is then next from Sony, dropping another 60% or so, another $2 million there, but again, doesn't have to really do all that much to make its money back. Might already be at that point in time. In fact, Minions Rise of Gru continues to hang around, and Where the Crawdads Sing is rounding off that top, I believe this is top 10. If I can do counting there. $1.1 million. Again, pretty impressive just for this movie. Never thought this film would actually have the legs that it has had, but apparently enough people have been going to see this movie every single week to the point of it having some of the best legs as far as movies coming out this year are concerned. Looking at the long-range forecasting, as you can see, Barbarian's $8 million is definitely on the lower end of where this film was expected to be. Again, the last update they did for this movie, that it actually had dropped 12%, so they projected that its 3-day opening would be somewhere between $7 and $12 million, total domestic between $17 and $32 million. It seems that if they're projecting $8 million, that this number is likely a little bit smaller. Probably, what, 6 to 10 million is now the projection? 5 to 10 million, something like that. Either way, we could also then suspect that their total domestic is expected to be something similar. So they're probably only thinking this film is going to make around 30 million or so, 20 to 30 million dollars domestically by the end of its run. So really, whatever money they spent on this movie is going to be a huge factor in whether or not it's able to make its money back. Woman King has not changed all that much in their projections. I just still can't believe that this film is a thing. But hey, we'll see if it's able to reach the heights of winning the box office during a very slow weekend. Again, if you look at Barbarian, you look at the last couple weekends, you say 16, 21 million might be overreaching. Then again, they are definitely trying to overpromote this movie, so you never know. The Avatar re-release is then the next week. You all know my thoughts about Avatar. I just don't care. Don't Worry, Darling, which has gotten a lot of controversy because of the subject matter and because of, obviously, it being a Olivia Wilde production. Thank you, by the way, for those who were able to let me know and remind me that she had actually directed the film Booksmart, which was an atrocity of film and an awful film to boot. It was supposed to be, I think, funny, but wasn't funny at all. So, yeah. So we already kind of know the kind of films that she can make, and if it's anything similar to that film, then yeah, not likely to be very good here. But this is very much a Stepford Wives situation where it's a kind of a remake, reboot, or kind of at least based upon, inspired by the Stepford Wives in a certain fashion. So again, seems to have some agenda items there built into the actual story. But as of the last update, it is actually trending up 4%. But as I said, because of where we're seeing the box office going week to week, I would not be surprised if this film ends up trending downward, as you saw that the film this weekend's getting $8 million. Who knows if Don't Worry, Darling is going to be able to hold up to that or not. We also have new numbers for films like Bros and Smile. So Bros, yeah, if you want to know anything about this film, I finally looked it up, and okay, all I can say is it's a gay comedy. That's what it is. It's a gay comedy featuring Harvey Fierstein, at least is a part of the cast. Expected to make $10 to $15 million. We'll see if that holds. But then also we have the numbers for Smile. This is the one that actually I have the most intrigue in because it just looks creepy as all get out. Look at that poster. The whole concept of the film, it's, people look at her and they smile, and then I think they die, or they, again, who knows what it is, but apparently it's a psychological horror film. I like psychological horror. I don't like any of the possession type horror stuff. That just stuff, I stay away from that stuff as much as I possibly can. But anything that's psychological in nature, I am definitely more drawn to those films more so than not. This is a film that we also don't have a budget for yet at this time. Projected, though, to make $15 to $20 million. To me, this seems to have the most notoriety because this is the one that, again, before the films that I have seen in theaters, I've remembered the most as far as the trailer is concerned. And also, I just think about, again, the concept. You just look at that image and you think, oh my goodness, that's going to haunt my dreams for the rest of my life. But anyway, those are the box office numbers for this upcoming weekend and looking forward ahead. So what are y'all's thoughts? Are you going to go see Barbarian this weekend? I think Barbarian's going to be the number one film. I think Top Gun Maverick might be able to overperform, Barbarian underperform. Could see Maverick back in the number one spot again. By the way, the numbers came in for last weekend, and turns out Top Gun Maverick was able to beat out Spider-Man No Way Home. So once again, the fact that these films are out for as long as they are, and yet are beating newer films, younger films at the box office, tells you a lot about the current state of the box office and the current state of Hollywood to boot. But let me know your thoughts about this and anything else I mentioned in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, lap that fire button. Honestly, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. A huge shout out to Joey Horn, who I will be adding to the end box office, or rather the end September video shout out. at some point, but I'm running out of time this morning, so I just want to give you a shout out right now before having to re-edit things, put things together. You guys are great. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out for all of my September Patreon, Subscribe Star, and Locals members. Starting off with my Patreon members, Chris from the 80s, that's his YouTube channel, Garrett Searles, Hymir Irie Hymason, Jeff Toon, Jonathan Carney, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Orange Eye Reviews, you can also find on YouTube by the same name, Rosetta Allen, YouTube's name is Eagle Rider, Stan Andrian, and Miss Martin Muses, and that is her YouTube channel. Thank y'all very much for supporting me over on Patreon. Also, for all my Subscribe Star peeps, Matt317, that's his Twitch channel name, support him there. Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and the K-Man. Thank you, K-Man, as well, and you can find him at xtheboundaries.co, and thanks to all of my Subscribe Star members. And lastly, to my Locals members, Locals has definitely been hopping a lot more recently. Shout out to Miss Minnesota hockey fan. How about a hockey player? UAB UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson for the win, Brett D90, and the amazing lawyer Robert Barnes. Thank y'all for supporting me over on Locals. And if you want your name shouted out vocally at the end of every single live stream and video, make sure that you support me over on Patreon, Subscribe Star, or Locals. And you can find out more information about it on those websites, and check out the top link in the video description below if you want to find out more about how to get that, access to podcasts that I do with John the Flickinger, and also how to be featured on the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, which I do once a month with my Chosen of Valhalla members. And it's always a lot of fun. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today. You guys all have an amazing rest of your day. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Beautiful people. And as always, God bless.